Again, eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, curtain rise, take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again, eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, curtain rise, take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again, eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, curtain rise, take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Hum inside my heart a little while. Come closer with the honey of your song. Your dance is a code, is a pathway to what's given. I am learning how to listen. Hum inside my heart a little while. From you comes the honey of my song. Tender to the tendrils, blooming color, taste and longing for you who kiss the petals of my reach. Our minds send us farther than our legs can carry us, but your flight weaves the membranes of our steps. So we give our voices, so we give our voices to the ones who've left us. So we give our voices to the ones who cry in silence. So we give our voices, so we give our voices to the ones whose speech is running under soil beneath. So we give our voices, so we give our voices to the ones who left us. So we give our voices to the ones who cry in silence. So we give our voices, so we give our voices to the ones whose speech is running under soil beneath. Subtle as your flutter beat, long beat, run beat, hum. Inside my heart a little while. How long, tearing me apart from the inside out, so I can see myself from the inside. How long, tearing me apart from the inside out, so I can see myself from the inside. How long, tearing you apart from the inside out, so you can see yourself from the inside. Look at the river as it winds down the rise, like a tear going down Cheekside Creek to the body of blood, salty golden, holding the life of our own. Though we do not look at the river as it winds down the rise, like a tear going down Cheekside Creek to the body of blood, salty golden, holding the life of our own. Though we do not look at the river as it winds down the rise, like a tear going down Cheekside Creek to the body of blood, salty golden, holding the life of our own. Though we do not look at the river as it winds down the rise, like a tear going down Cheekside Creek to the body of blood, salty golden, holding the life of our own. Though we do not look at the river as it winds down the rise, like a tear going down Cheekside Creek to the body of blood, salty golden, holding the life of our own. Though we do not look at the river as it winds down the rise, like a tear going down Cheekside Creek to the body of blood, salty golden.
Good morning. I'm going to change my name here. Just trying to figure out how to do that so I don't have to do it every time. Eventually, I'll figure it out. Good morning, Wendelin and Jessica and everyone who is tuning in at a different time. I am so happy to be here with you today. Welcome to my childhood home, or one of them. We moved here when I was in first grade. So this was a majority of my childhood home. My parents are on vacation in Australia and New Zealand, which is very cool. I'm a little envious, but also really, really, really grateful for this space to myself. I took the opportunity to plan a winter retreat for myself because I had a house to myself that I didn't have to pay for, which is such a blessing right now. And then I get this really special time. This is Ruby here. My husband and I found her at the shelter back when I was in high school. So I don't even count the age of her anymore. My last two family pets both died at 8. Which was sad. And therefore, when Ruby got to 7, I stopped counting. So she's definitely more than a decade old. And right here, yeah, I think that's the right area, is a wheelchair that I am, it is so much patience. She is a very, very stubborn dog. And trying to get her to use it is a process, and the company warned me about that, but I found, long story short, I'm working on it and it's still not yet done. I also wanted to just welcome you all here with some authenticity from myself. So I was preparing. I felt very energetic after last night's call. It really hit my heart. And then I had a lot of things I was thinking, not like in a bad way at all, but I felt a lot of energy last night as I was wanting to head to bed. And so I was winding down after I made dinner for myself. And then I was getting ready to bed and I was aware of the time, and I looked at my craft table in the living room and I was like, oh, I should clean this up and like tidy up before Heartful morning. But then the voice in my head said, no, why don't I just like show up? Why don't I not and just show how it is, rather than I'm definitely one of those people who tidies up before people come over to my space. That makes me feel comfortable, / I think it's just like a deeply rooted thing from my childhood as well. But it feels good to just like show up in my mess. So I have laundry on the couch back there. And then before I get started, I wanted to share my table. So this is my craft table. It started out completely clean when my parents left, and last Heartful morning, it was the only things on it was my shaving cream stuff and everything for the Heartful morning. But since then, especially since I've been diving into a lot of crafts and not, I guess, just listening to my intuition more rather than doing what I think I should be doing. So that includes a lot less tidying up maybe than usual. It depends. But my craft table, I've let it get wild a little bit. And I wanted to share that with you guys, I guess. So here is my table, and we have a plethora of crafts here. Here are my craft boxes that I keep on the boat, along with way too many craft stuff. I started a photo album this week. I grew up scrapbooking and was inspired by my mom, and so I started a little scrapbook this week. I have lots of paper that I've been using in hearts. I've started working on Valentine's here. I have pens, I have journals, I have, what is that? Some glue. Oh, and I made prayer flags. Okay, one little thing before we get started. I really want to share this with you because I'm excited about it. I have been, I guess something that's been like sitting with me a lot over the past couple of years, but something that I heard Jessica say recently. I'm not sure where. It might have been something you recorded in the past that I was listening to, or something more recent, or something live. But your TED Talk was titled, or something along the lines of "You are your best ally." And that's something that I deeply resonate and have been feeling into, and something that I really lean into during my birthday season. So for my birthday, the past few years, something that feels really good to me, a reason we're gathered here today, is to do art. And I really like doing art with others. I love doing it by myself. I think it's kind of like walks in nature and walks outside. They're lovely by yourself and have so many benefits, but there's just as many lovely benefits from doing it with other people as well. It's just different. And that's how I feel like art is. But for my birthday, I have an opportunity to maybe ask some people who don't usually create with me to open their mind a little bit and do that with me a little bit more. And that includes my family. So for the past couple of years, I've been planning a craft activity for my birthday meal, which I've moved up to more of a birthday lunch because that feels good. Like it was always a birthday dinner that we celebrated with my family. But birthday lunch feels so much better for me. And then we do a craft activity. So last year we tie-dyed socks, and it was so fun. My grandpa had never tie-dyed before, ever in his life. So I was so excited to share that with him. And then I think the year before we painted rocks, and I was journaling about what to do this year. And I have no idea exactly where the prayer flag. I know it came from my morning pages, my journaling. And I've experienced prayer flags in a plethora of different forms, maybe not as much the traditional form, but I've experienced it a lot of how we've used it at camps, especially with grief and loss and difficult things, but also as a way to uplift and like work through different things. And I thought it would be a really lovely thing that I could make, and then everyone can decorate a flag. And then I've learned, so at first when I was making these, I made them very like reinforced because I wanted it to, like, I want to keep all this stuff, these prayers, whatever people make for me, I wanted to keep it. But then I started learning a little bit more, and they're meant to go away. They're meant to disappear in the wind. So I made them a lot more, I changed the design, and I'm very, very proud of this because I am not a sewer. So this has been a great project for me to learn, especially when no one else is in the house to help me. Because I get very frustrating with sewing. My mom is a very talented seamstress. She made my wedding dress for me, which I am so proud of, and very happy about. But I've had such a struggle with sewing in my past. But this week with this project has forced me to kind of figure it out myself and problem solve myself, which was super helpful. And now I have these little prayer flags. So here's a bee one, and here's an elephant. And I have a lot of ladybug ones, and oh my gosh, this one's fun. My mom had a bunch of like scrap fabric, which was perfect. Here's one with pigeons on it. And it makes me really happy, and I'm really excited this birthday season to start making some myself and then start doing it with other people. I think I'm gonna offer to like send, as I talk with people this next month, anyone who wants to make one and send it out, I'll send it out. So that was just a project I'm very excited about and very, very proud about. Okay. Thank you for listening to me.
Okay, Blaire, I'm going to send you, I'm going to forward a newsletter that I just have started getting from the woman that taught my course on how to make the book. Because her newsletter is all about restarting the prayer flag project, and she wanted to do that. So you said that, and I'm going to forward that email to you so that you'll have this stuff on the prayer flag project.
Yay. Oh, Wendelin, thank you. I love that. I love the synchronicity of it. And oh, that makes me feel so good. And I'm just excited to see where this project will take me. I have a feeling it's not going to be necessarily started out with something for myself, but I think it's going to be something that I continue to grow and make for other people or like involve other people with. I love that. So thank you, Wendelin. And then one last thing I wanted to address before we get grounded here was my signage in the back. It says FU, and I think that is just like a very brief description of my parents. Like the quirkiness, like they have a big F and a U on our living room wall, and that's just the decor. So that's just a little like insight into my quirky.
Because I was wondering about that. I was like, gee, that could mean a whole lot of things.
I think it's very purposely left up for interpretation. And then like people can finish it however they want to finish it. But my mom, oh, my parents, I love them dearly. And I have so many, like all this art stuff is so much inspired by my mom. But I'm also very different than my parents in so many ways. And so being here is, I don't know, it's an interesting insight. Okay, with all of that talking, thank you for letting me explain where I am and just talk for a little bit because I haven't been talking. So I might be talking a little bit more extra today, and that is okay. So today we are doing love notes. I have a bunch of different suggestions where we could go with this, but I want to open the invitation for you to do whatever your heart is calling to as well. So I will give a lot of different examples over the next 50 minutes and show a little bit of maybe like my style of love notes, but love notes can take so many different forms. They could be love notes for yourself. They could be love notes for a loved one, for someone who you're having struggle with, love notes to put in the fire, and love notes for strangers. Those are particularly one of my favorites. But there's so many different forms, and you're also welcome to do whatever art activity or creative activity that's open to interpretation that you wish. But I am going to start first with a little grounding, and I'm making a little meditation, and then we'll do a little permission slip activity, and then I'll get creating. So when thinking about meditation or grounding for today, earlier this week, I started looking up creative meditations because I really, it feels so comfortable to me to have a script. That is definitely, I mean, it's not comfortable to me per se to lead a meditation in general. That's still not something I've gained comfort with per se yet, but having a script there with me as I do it feels very, very comforting. But I really enjoyed our talk yesterday and the theme of intuition. And earlier this week, I was thinking about a meditation that I kind of made up for myself during my first silent meditation retreat. I was really, really, really struggling. I think, Liz, you talked yesterday about doing your first silent meditation retreat. And that is, man, everyone has their own experiences. And I am definitely like, just because what I experienced doesn't mean what you experienced, but I struggled hard. I was really, 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 really challenged. And it took all of my stubbornness just to stay there. So it was a 10-day retreat for me at a retreat center, and it was pretty intense. Actually, it was very intense. I wanted to quit after day one. I was done. But I knew that if I quit, that I'd have to do it again. And I really never wanted to do it again in my life. I was like, no, I tried this and this is awful. And I never want to do it again. To sum it up, I did end up really enjoying it, and I have repeated it. I didn't enjoy it. I got a lot out of it. But to help myself cope during those, we had these 1-hour sits where I had to at least pretend to meditate because I was in a room with other people. And so I didn't align as much with their meditation, but I made up my own little meditation. I don't use it super often, but it's very comforting to me. And it feels like the right month to share it with you all. So I invite you to find a comfy place to settle in. Start to find your breath. Move your muscles around any way that feels good. And truly, I like to think of like a bird settling into their nest, fluffing their feathers and settling. So this meditation today, it is a rainbow meditation. And true to me, it is very colorful. So as you start following your breath in and out, start to see or visualize or feel, or smell or taste the air that you're breathing start to turn red. Whatever kind of hue of red you are feeling today. It can be a dark crimson red, or maybe a very mellow, more pink. Breathe it in and breathe it out. I like to think as I'm breathing in and out the color that I'm starting to make an orb around myself of this color. It moves with my breath, gets smaller as I breathe in and breathe in that beautiful color. And I breathe out the red. And this layer of red, this outer layer of our rainbow, is our protection layer. So fill it with your strength and with the knowledge that you get to control what comes in and penetrates that bold red breath. Get to let anything in that you want, or just let it bounce off of that red if you want as well. a red layer of protection. And when you feel ready, you can start that red to fade into an orange, creating an inner layer inside the red. Your orb of color can continue to move with you as you breathe in and out, or it can maybe just continue to radiate out or radiate around you. Just fill it up with some more orange, whatever orange feels good to you in this moment. Orange to me, this layer is an overcoming layer. It is the layer that I know that whatever detour or challenge or obstacle or stumble or whatever is in my path today, I know that I have maybe the power or the strength to overcome it. And this orange to me always comes with a smile that I feel in my heart, knowing that I can smile and overcome. And then slowly, the orange starts to fade into a yellow. Oh, a bright yellow of sunshine, of happiness. Breathe it in, soak it in. Feel the yellow on your skin. Yellow for me is where I take a moment to dwell in my highlights of yesterday. Take a couple moments to think of some of those sunshine moments that shined down on me yesterday, whether they were shiny or rainy. Just maybe a moment or two of highlights from my previous day. I ate a really delicious sourdough brownie yesterday, and that made me so happy. That brownie is with me here in my yellow orb of light today. And then slowly, that yellow, it starts to blend and become a green, maybe a bright green, maybe a mellow green, maybe a green mixed with some yellows and blues, or maybe just a very solid, bright green. Green is my layer of gratitude. And this layer is one that I can sit in for a long time. But for today, we'll be here for just a minute, building our gratitude layer. The little things, the big things, and everything in between. And then my orb continues to get bigger and bigger. As blue starts to come in, I start to breathe in the blue and breathe out the blue. Oh, my rainbow orb is almost complete. The blue. Blue is filled with belief for me. Belief in myself. Belief, in whatever way that means to you, however that, whatever feels good to your heart, whatever you want to, beliefs you want to fill your today with, maybe what beliefs you want to fill this hour with. And then finally, we get to the center of our rainbow orb, breathing in the most peaceful purple, peaceful and restful purple. Purple is the innermost layer of this ball that we have created. With the outside, a protection filled with so much wonderfulness. And then in the middle, we get to rest and just sit in peace. Sit in whatever truth that comes to us today. Maybe sit in our intuition. That is my rainbow meditation. I invite you to, whenever you're ready, to come back in this room and join me. That meditation provides me with a lot of comfort and just direction, maybe when I don't know where to go. So thanks for sitting with me for that. I'm curious.
That was beautiful.
Thanks, Liz. I'm glad. Oh, Jessica, I'm glad it hit you. So thank you for providing a space that I can be courageous to share that with. It's so special, and it means so much. And these heartful mornings mean so much. I've been so inspired myself by them, and I'm so excited to see what this year will bring. I have visions of making live versions here in my hometown, and I'll share more as those happen, but I'm really excited. Okay, so permission slips. I love this little permission slip activity, and I invite you to spend 30 seconds on your permission slip or spend 2 hours on your permission slip, whatever feels good to you today. I am going to be you are allowed to use whatever you want to make your permission slip. There's not really rules. I really like using recycled paper. And I just recently went through, I used some of this time to do some organizing. And so I just made a whole binder of recycled paper bags, which is wonderful. So I'm going to use some of my paper bags. And the permission slip. So this is to give yourself permission for whatever you need in this next hour. So I invite you to use this hour to play, to really, I remember yesterday in the new moon call, we talked about like our inner child, our inner artist. I really like using this time to allow that part of me to come out and play, rather than maybe the more perfectionist or the more like I really want it to go the way that I want it to go. Now that's not a bad thing, but I think it's very wonderful to allow ourselves to play and to maybe let go a little bit. So things that I have given myself permission for in the past have been permission to be messy, permission to let go, permission to play, permission to let my piece end up in the trash if that's what it wants, and permission to like redo it, to it's just so many different permissions. And there's not really any rules there either. I am going to open up my chat so I can keep that a visual because I'm not so good at that. But feel free to pop stuff in the chat as well or work on your own. I'm gonna turn this down as I work on mine. You can watch. I'll try to, I think I made some pen cups for myself. My parents' house. It's just like the little things that make doing crafts a lot easier. Although I have to say, like having a bunch of pens sprawled out on the ground is pretty fun too. Okay, can't really see. I think I'm gonna make mine look a little more like actual permission slippy today. Because why not? Okay, I'm gonna cut myself. Usually I'm all about the tearing, but today we're cutting myself a permission slip. Oh, I just thought of my perfect permission. Okay. Okay, dokes. I got fancier today with my permission slip than I've ever gotten, and I feel really good about it. As I was making this, I was thinking, like, I really wish permission slips when I was younger looked more like this. But here is my version of a more fancy permission slip with still the fun. So it says, today I give myself permission to surrender to my intuition, which I took from Jessica last night that I really liked. And then I said, and have fun. But my pen started dying as I was writing that. So I wrote here on the side, you can't even read it, which is okay. It says, allow imperfections, which also didn't fit. So I had to break up the word imperfection like 3 different times. And then I added a smiley face. So there is my my little permission slip that I'm gonna put right in front of me as I play. and just let my intuition guide me today and have fun, which I love. It makes me really happy. Thanks for joining me. Okay, love notes. Okay, this makes me so very happy. Love notes are probably one of my very favorite things to do. One, it's a wonderful art activity for myself. I can get and spend as much time or as little time as I want with them. Sometimes they turn into, I was looking to see if I had envelope, but I'm sure all of you have seen also envelopes that I've done and mail and cards and stuff like that. It's a great outlet and coloring thing that I really enjoy doing, but it also feeds my desire to love on others at the same time. So it's one of those dueling win projects in my book. So this takes a lot of different forms, and I invite you to work on some love notes that are calling to you today, or maybe one to yourself, because those are also really lovely. I think I'll start with those. I'll start sharing some of those. So I have a little, this actually used to hold a reusable bag, but it was one of those reusable bags that like came with a detachable bag to store the reuse. So it's just like, it's not always attached or like part of it. And then it doesn't really fit back in that original bag. But I like the bag. And it ended up storing some of my notes. So these are love notes that sometimes they go to other people, but they definitely do. These travel with me sometimes, and sometimes they get left in letters or left with people or let someone pick one out. But they also are for me. And there's something that I bring around to myself. I remember sharing this last year, right when Sacred Habits first started. And I went on a volunteering project, and that was challenging in many ways. And one of the biggest things is not having my space and my comforts around me. And so something that I can do to help support myself is paste up these love notes for myself. So I put them all up on the mirror. This is something I also do actually almost every time I go volunteering, like residential volunteering, where I'm living somewhere in a situation maybe that's not quite as comfortable. And often I'll bring my tent, because again, it's like my little safe area. But then I'll I'll get tape and I'll stick these little reminders up for myself. And they're love from me to me. And it feels really good, especially when things I can't control, like all the chaos around me or all the things that are making me uncomfortable, but I can have my little space. So here's one that's really simple. It just says, "You are loved." And then I have one here. It says, "Keep your head up, keep your heart strong." And lots of like other random ones, but I really enjoy having these, and I add to them occasionally. Some of them, my mom and I make advent calendars, and I include quotes. So I've been laminating those quotes and putting those in. So this one says, "Be you, the world will adjust." And so that's like one really easy way to start with love notes, especially sometimes when I don't know where to get started. I look at quotes that inspire me, and that just a quote could be a love note that you either leave for yourself or leave for someone else. Here's one that I really like. It says, "Be a Fruit Loop in a world of Cheerios." And so I have lots of those that I really like, and they're wonderful. I have laminated them, or you can just put 2 pieces of tape on either side, just because when I live in a boat and there's water everywhere, and then traveling and like with the tent, it means that I get to reuse them more. And so I like it. Plus I love my laminator. And then I have another little satchel, and this is my notes to others little satchel. And there's been times I've had this for a few years, and there's definitely been like months that go by that it's been missing, and then other satchels get started, but it eventually gets found again. I keep some washi tape in here so that on the go, I can stick little notes on fences or on doors, or I really love to stick notes on, so I used to where this project, leaving notes for strangers came from myself. So man, winters here in Seattle are tough, and I've struggled with them in the past. Some winters more than others. And there was one in particular, I think in 2019, when I was really really struggling, and I was commuting. So my commute was, I would get onto the ferry at 4:45 a.m. And so I'd leave my boat around 4:20 a.m. and scooter to the ferry. I have what I call a Blaire powered scooter. So no electricity other than what's in my muscles. And I would scooter to the ferry, catch the ferry at 4:45. Then I commute through the city, which I love, but there's also, just like with so many parts of life, you can see the beautiful, and also there's so many different aspects. And downtown Seattle is a full wide range of a lot of things, but there is a lot of suffering to witness down there as well. And when I'm going through there at 5 a.m. on my way to work, I was not in the best mood. But so I started leaving notes behind for people, and this really, really helped my mood. It was just like a little burst of like excitement. And I've never necessarily talked to anyone who's found my notes, but I'll leave a little note. So I have an example here. Oh yeah. So I haven't written on this one, but it's just a piece of paper bag, like my permission slip was. And I just got a little piece here. And then I wrote on it, I just said, "And still I rise." Very simple. And then I'll probably write here, "Hello," or "to you," or "good morning," or like whatever it is. And then I would leave it. So I would go through downtown Seattle. Then I would catch we have a light rail, so like a train. I would catch the train to the university. And then from the university, it was about a 20-minute scooter ride to the hospital where I used to work at. So I started leaving these notes, and they were a ton of fun. So I still do it, not as often, but especially on those days when I'm struggling a little bit more or have a little more darkness. I need maybe some more light. It feels good to put that light out maybe for someone else. I like to think about it as like things maybe that I would like to hear, or that would be nice to hear. I just found this one. I really like this one. So this was from an old box that I cut apart, like cardboard box. And it says, "All of you belongs." And that one was definitely a little more of an art project. But I have a bag full of them. And so it has ones that are complete, but it also has blank like cards and stuff so that I can make more on the go. I'll do this on the ferry often. Here's one that I haven't. So I just made an outline here and just doodled on that. And that eventually will get folded up and maybe left on a bus seat or, taped on. So I was saying, I really love to tape them onto like, they're not light poles necessarily, light poles, but also like where you stop to press the button for crosswalks. I think it's really fun to like leave a little note there. And so I really love that. This is also a project. Oh, here's another one. This is "You Matter." They're so fun, and it's just something that really like ebbs and flows in and out of my life, and I'm okay with that. There are some seasons where it shows up a lot, and I do a lot of them, and it feels really good. And then there are seasons where I don't leave any, and that's okay. Or I just leave notes maybe for myself, or I write letters to friends, and that's okay. One really, really sweet story I want to share about these love notes as well. I'm wondering if I could, let's see here. I'm gonna actually share a document with you guys, just in case you're curious or want more information about that specific project. I led this project, I think it was a mental health day with a volunteer organization. So I made a little like how-to document on how to make your own love notes, and it has examples. So if you're stuck or you don't know what to write, I want to say there's no wrong way to make it, but I don't think that's necessarily right. I think there is a wrong way to do it. But I think if you're listening to your heart and going from your heart, it's probably not wrong. I think it's a key to doing these, especially if you're leaving behind for others, is to, I guess, just exercise your empathy muscle and just think about maybe how others might receive these words and to be really soft with them. But then also just trusting that like they'll find the right people at the right time. And I think it's a wonderful act of, oh, that reminds me, I wanted to share, I still have one that Jessica inspired me that I haven't hung up yet. I've hung up a couple of these, but Jessica, gosh, I don't know when you shared this, but you found a poem in a tree titled Thank You. And so I was like, that is so wonderful. And I love that poem. So I made this probably a year ago. Like, it's been a while. It's been in my satchel for a while, but eventually it will find a tree where it's gonna rest. And some other thank yous have found trees. So that is also a wonderful, I think leaving poetry in trees is very poetic. And yeah, I love that. And I think that totally counts as a love letter. Maybe both to the tree and to whoever reads it, and to ourselves. Okay. And then one more place where I found love notes super helpful, as I've mentioned, they have been soothing to me in many ways, but one way that I've like helped use this project to move some really difficult emotions that I was working through. So I was working at a camp that I had volunteered at in the past, but I fell in love with the camp and signed on as a staff nurse there that next summer. So it was a camp for kids with medical disabilities. And it was pretty intense. And it was my last week of camp. So I'd been there for 6 weeks. And on my last shift as on-call nurse, I walked down to the room where I was going to sleep overnight, just in case anyone had an emergency. We switched off that role, and I got a call from my grandpa. And long story short, he had been caretaking. My husband and I went off traveling for a while in the past, and our dog that we had adopted went to live with my grandparents. And when we came back to Seattle, my grandpa was very, very okay. He's like, when do you want your dog back? But him and my grandma had totally fallen in love with Skippy. They loved her, and they were going on walks with her every day. And my grandma has Alzheimer's, and she lit up my grandma with this brightness that I loved to see. So there was no way I was taking Skippy back from them. I'd often visit Skippy, but I was going to leave Skippy with them. But so I got the call from my grandpa. I was at camp, walking to my on-call room, and he was crying. He was so sad. He was sad that Skippy had died, but he was also just heartbroken that like this was my dog, and he felt so bad about it. And here, like, my grandpa, thinking about it, I don't know if I've ever like heard him cry before. Like, he's not someone who shows that emotion at all, or shows much emotions at all. And just, I mean, it broke my heart, and it was a really, really tough moment. I had some great people to support me, but then the next day I was really like, I was in that grief. But I was working with a great counselor with the littlest boys. I was assigned that week. So I had boys from probably like 6 to 10. And we went down to the arts and crafts area. I asked the counselor I was working with if I could lead an art activity. And so I allowed my vulnerability and authenticity out, which I find a little easier sometimes with kids. Kids do that a little easier and also are accepting a little easier when we share it. I feel like as adults, especially with grief and like big grief, it can be difficult to sit with. But the kids were really good at that, especially these kids with a lot of complex things going on. And so I talked to them about how my dog died last night, and that was really, really sad and tough. But then I shared with them this project that I do sometimes to help myself out. And we shared about other times when we're hurting, kind of just talked in a circle for a little bit about how when we're struggling, maybe sometimes like the things that we want to hear that help lift us up. And so then we went and we all made love notes. We like all sat around and made love notes of maybe things that we want to hear when we're having a bad day or when we're having a good day or when we go to the bathroom and look at ourselves in the mirror or all that. So we made those and we went around camp and posted them all around camp. And it was the best gift I could have given to myself. And I'm sure those kids and counselors as well, because we all got to enjoy those notes for the rest of that week that were sprinkled around camp. So that's just a little bit about how love notes have maybe impacted my life, definitely for the better. And I definitely recommend them for when you're feeling good, but definitely for when you're not feeling good as well. I think they're a nice little boost. Okay, time check. We have 10 minutes left. Okay, while you're creating, I will share some of the other love notes that I'm working on. So we have love notes in little note form. Really, they can take any form, I think. I think there's no rule against like making a love note out of a piece of wood or like building a love block. I think really our imagination is the only thing. Oh, I leave love rocks around. Like a rock could be or a shell. I have these sand dollars that I just found in my room. I have no idea where I collected them, but I do know I'm going to be painting them. And I'll probably leave them in my mom's garden, but who knows? Maybe I'll leave one in the park. That's like we have this beautiful park here by my parents' house, and it's so fun to like leave things in the nook of like trees it's like a little treasure hunt. And I know there are people who leave who have like made little fairy houses or like other things. And then I found like little figurines sometimes in things. So there are people who look for these things. And then I notice as I leave things, I'm more attentive to like find things as well. And so it's like a fun game we get to play with strangers. Who with? I don't know, but someone. So something that I did with my project last time, so made some paper stock of the shaving cream as well. And what I'm doing with that is I am cutting out hearts, and I'm going to make Valentines with these. So I've cut out a bunch of hearts. I've cut out hearts from those paper, and then I had some just watercolored paper that I had watercolored kind of abstractly that I put hearts on. And these are just like super simple. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to write on them, but it's probably going to be pretty simple. But I love sending out Valentines. I have to be careful with myself because I tend to want to do like, I have a very big dreaming head, and I get very excited. And I think I remember Jessica talking about this earlier this week or last week or something about like letting things sit for a minute, because otherwise, I mean, there's just not enough time in the day for all the ideas that pop into my head. And I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. So as much as I'd love to make 80 Valentines to send out, maybe it's just going to be 10 this year or just 5, or like I know I made an envelope here. If I can find it. Oh, here we go. This one envelope. So I made this last time, and it says to Mormor and Papa, and that is my grandparents. And I just have a simple heart, and I know I'm going to see them next week. So I'm just going to make them a very, very simple Valentine. Funny fact about my grandpa. I was over there. We had family coming to visit in the beginning of January. Unexpected visit that caused a lot of chaos, but it meant that we were all together for a little bit more than we expected. And on my way to pick up some things for dinner that night for our family dinner, I saw the sweethearts, those like chalky candies in the store. It was the first because it was January, and so they were just getting those in stock. And the only person I know, I think, or the only person who pops in my head who loves them is my grandpa, and he always gets them for us, and I love it. But I know he loves them, so I got it. I got one for him and gave it to him, and it was so cute because we were all like in their living room, and there was a lot going on. There were some kids there, and it was fun. But my grandpa's in the corner in his chair, just like munching down on those hearts in the whole box. And I just thought that was those candies are so gross, but he loves them. So I'll probably try to find another box and pair that for my grandparents. And then here is a card that I'm working on for my husband. This was a watercolor. I think I was originally going to make it a bookmark. It had this like burst of yellow here and then just watercolored red, but I folded it into a card and made it the little, painting. You can just have, like, it doesn't have to look necessarily like a heart for you to make a heart. This was just a blob, but then I just created the circle around it, and now it's a heart. And yeah, it like bleeds out a little bit, but I think it totally fits. And it says my handsome hubby, my Valentine. And then I'll make a little note in there. So those are the Valentines that I'm going to be working on today. I think I'll definitely spend time on Valentine's Day. That feels really good. And then I know one other place, I think, since I still have a couple minutes to jab, to find what I'm looking for, though. Let's see here. Where did I put that? No, well, I don't know. It will show up. That's okay. But something that so I've shared, I think, with all of you about my peace treaty before, and you've heard a little bit about it. I used to redo it every month, every season. And this past year, I haven't been as good with that. And while that could be a very easy place for myself to beat myself up on, I've been using that as a practice of just allowing that to be okay, even though I wanted to do that. Maybe it doesn't make sense this season, but I'm feeling pulled to work on that. And I feel like that is a love letter to myself, for sure. So I think especially with the quality quiet time that I have right now, I think focusing on some love letters to myself would be really, maybe that's like my wise intuition talking to me, where my more like fun, like, let's do this, let's do that. It says like, let's make Valentines for everyone. And then let's make this, like, I have this idea to have a picnic with one of my neighbors. And so I want to make an invitation for that. And I have like all these ideas, and that's great. And they belong. But I'm gifted with this really, really precious time with myself right now. And I know that it is very beneficial to pour some of that love directly into myself too. And then I can continue as it feels good to continue to, because it feels so good to pour it into other people. And so, yeah. Thank you all for joining me today. Thank you for listening. I had so much to say, which tends to happen, especially when I'm in silence a little bit more. So I appreciate your listening and creating along with me. Would any of you like to share what you worked on today?
I'll share real quick. I was deciding what I was going to do and finally came up with Be Who You Are. Well, I have these little sequin things. I don't know if you can be able to see it. Yeah, you can see them.
Oh, yeah.
Going to put sequin stuff around.
I love that, Liz. Are you going to hang that up for yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Well, we'll see we'll see what happens when it gets there, but I thought it was kind of fun.
I love that. I love like that inspires me to make words out of jewels. That's so fun.
And I had some just, let's see if I can get it where you can see it. Okay, yeah. This is Christmas paper. And so on the back, because it was a bird, I said, let yourself fly. And for me, the joy of this is you'd said get stickers out. I'm going, I wonder if I even have any stickers. I have an entire file folder that is just crammed with stickers from when my son was little. So then this one just says, you are beautiful. And on the back is just more stickers.
I
So,
love that, Gwendolyn.
so like I said, I would use the image like this again, more of that wrapping paper, and then shine your light.
I love that. That's such a brilliant idea too, with wrapping paper like scraps that we have. We could save
Right.
those and then just make those into notes.
Yeah. This one, again, just a little piece of it that says, be a star. So I was having a great time here. I'd have tons and tons of just plain white envelopes from when we had our business. So I took a moment, I had some little bits of cardstock left. So I made cards that are going to fit in that envelope. I have the scissors that have the scallop on them. So I have two different, because one piece of cardstock made two full cards for those envelopes. So I have had an absolutely wonderful time.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Gwendolyn. I love hearing that so much.
I love it. I need to get some of those envelopes from you. So this is what I did. I took actual like blank note cards, you know, that you put the notes on. I was like, oh, I have all these note cards, like stacks of those. And I did a bunch of them, like all in different colors. I just got them started with my watercolors, like just did the hearts. And then now that they're drying, I started to go through and like do little watercolor like designs on each of them.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if you can see those, but
Wow.
and then they'll have the little like the note card piece on the back. So I might do a little design on the back of them too. But I thought they'd be fun little, you know, like
That's fun.
yeah, like a little literal school note card that is now gonna be little Valentines. And I'm like you, I'm like, I could make 100 of these and send them to 100 people, or I could just like make, this already feels like a lot because there's like a bunch of them here. Just make like a bunch of basic ones. So I think I'll give myself permission to like do what I, you know, just have fun with them. And maybe they won't go out for Valentine's Day. Maybe they will just go in my bag and I'll just leave them around. But
Yeah.
I'm not even close to being done now that I've started. But I'm really loving it. It's really fun. And that rainbow meditation, that just like really
Oh,
hit
I
me.
love that.
I
It
love
was
that.
beautiful.
Did you make that up?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my, can I pull the audio from that too? And like,
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
I haven't finished putting together the inner child one or the child play one that you did last time, but That was beautiful. I loved it. And now I have all this rainbow of hearts on all these cards sitting in front of me. So thank you. This was really lovely.
Oh, thank you all. Thanks for being here. And
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
for sharing your creative sparkles with me. I feel it. And I'm just feeling really inspired. So thank you all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to see you all
Wonderful.
again, 2 days in a row. So nice.
That's fun.
All right, well, I'll post this for everyone soon, and I'll save that document that you shared as well, Blaire,
Mhm.
Okay.
that you made
Sounds good.
for everybody.
And then I'm kind of thinking of maybe since you're posting the resources and that, I'll probably just start doing art shares every month, and then I'll share what I created here, and everyone is very invited to share what they created in this hour or anything else they created this month. I think that's
I love
That's a
that.
great idea.
Yeah, I love
Mhm.
it.
Wonderful.
you.
Well, I wish you all a wonderful day and wonderful rest of your week.
All
You
right.
too.
Thank you. You
All
too.
right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.